You know, Mom and I always brought it up. We always had conversations. We always talked about the bears trying to get in the door, the horses getting to town.
Trees swaying in the summer breeze, showing off their silver leaves as we walked by. Soft kisses on a summer's day, laughing all our cares away, just you and I. Sweet, sleepy warmth of summer nights, gazing at the distant lights in the starry sky. They say that all good things must end someday.
We also had a visitor of bats. The only bat I have ever seen up until that point was on TV or, you know, in some kind of a storybook. And we were all in the dining room, and it was hanging from the ceiling.
Look at him hanging there like a bat.
Somebody disturbed it, it started flying around.
He can't be real. I'll pinch him.
Everybody was scared of it, really. It was flying around at people. Me, being, I thought, a very good baseball player, I grabbed a broom and I was going to hit it. Well, I couldn't touch that bat with a 10-foot pole. I swung at it and its radar just moved up and over the broom. The radar that they have built in, better than the United States Navy, I believe.
Target Able looks like 2 cruisers and a destroyer. Course 139, speed 30. What do you make of it?
Hard to tell, sir. 2 large pips and 1 smaller one.
Never got it.
Hey, Mike, throw me a few, will you?
It was flying from end to end in the lounge, flying over some of our guests who were having lunch, and we were swinging it right over their head. They were ducking and getting up and running from their chairs. And then finally I stayed put on the dance floor. That's when I couldn't hit them for love nor money. And it was quite an adventure for everybody because everybody's scared to death of this little mouse that had wings. I think we kind of coaxed it. We knew how to make it move toward the door, and it went out. Easy for the bat. It stayed away from that broom head, that's for sure. Back at the dining room, told everybody who's outside, sit down, please enjoy your lunch, and I went back into the kitchen. They sat down. They didn't leave. They were talking about it. It was just a lot of conversation about the bat. And that was quite a story because we talked about that often. Yeah, I'm in the hospital and you're up there swimming, having a great time with your friends on your birthday.
Come on, let me show you where it's at. Come on, let me show you where it's at. Come on.
That was the beginning of Tim up at the lodge.
Places I like it like that. Come on, let me show you where it's at. Come on, let me show you where it's at.
She started to stay at Grandma Virginia's because of being closer to the doctors. But I you know, we'd go up on a weekend, I'd bring her back and do some certain things. Mid-June, almost the end of June, she stayed all the time, and I went back and worked up there, trying to get things together. One weekend, all my old friends, they were gonna come up because it was my birthday, July 9th. So we had at least 16 people there. We had a band, we had other people that came, and we were celebrating my birthday.
The people were yelling and shouting for more, and all they kept saying was a good man.
the 9th, we got a call that Mom had a baby on my birthday, and that was Tim. So Timmy arrived, and that night we went over to Lake Minerva and swam and had a great time. And then we came back and everybody went home, and I went down to see Mom. Our friends, the girls, Mom's friends, are my friends too, but the girls all went to visit Mom, telling Mom, oh, what a beautiful time we had with Mike and everybody at the Lake Minerva. And Mom was fit to be tied, I think. She said, oh yeah, I'm in the hospital and they're all having a good time. So Tim came home, and after a week or so, Mom came back up and then she stayed there. I remember the 2nd February we were there. Tim was in a playpen out on a deck. Becky, the Dalmatian, was next to him. She stood up, she froze to the deck. Timmy was crying in a pen. The dog couldn't get up off the deck. So Mom grabbed Tim and I went and got warm water. I freed Becky's paws and got her inside. And that was just one episode with Tim. He was happy there too because he had fresh air and his playpen. Mom had him out. Nowadays, if anybody puts a child in a playpen, they think they're putting him in jail. All our children were in playpens and they loved it.
Let me show you where it's at. The name of the place is I like it like.
When we had the blackout,
Here is NBC News Washington correspondent Robert Abernethy.
Good evening. The northeastern United States tonight suffered its worst electric power failure in history. In the next few minutes, we hope to tell you in detail what happened and to pass on what little is known about why it happened.
we couldn't see. I mean, we had to have candles.
I'm sure you'll understand, we here in New York are operating under extremely difficult conditions, even primitive conditions. We're using candles for part of our lighting system, and we have a tiny little camera here that's not normally pressed into service for situations like these.
The fellows who brought the horses to us, Wally and Bob Kirkpatrick, were there at that time. And this was also the time where there were a couple of girls that came up that kind of liked Wally and Bob. They were there also. When they went to sleep, it was early and there was nothing that they could do. One of them, I think it was Walt, had a candle but fell on a mattress and the mattress started burning. He called for everybody and I said, well, get it out, bring it down, bring it out. And so what they did was they squeezed it and carried it downstairs and threw it out on the front lawn. From then on, as cold as it was, nobody went to their room with a candle. We stayed outside, actually, for a while until we knew that the fire was gone.
Everyone's gone to the moon. Does that sound particularly slow to you? Up our turntable there, indeed. That's everyone's gone to the moon. 77 WABC. The whole thing is running slowly. I know what's going on. Everything sounds like it's running in slow motion. You wouldn't believe what's going on in the studio, folks. The lights are getting dim. The electricity is slowing down. I didn't know that could happen.
Actually, we noticed stars were something spectacular.
Everything's running slowly. Somebody's, I think Continental's having power problems or something because everything's running at half speed, including me. Hey, listen, we got Action Central News next, and then right after...
Mom had the radio, but they couldn't give us any kind of indication that we were going to get it back soon.
Central News, we shall return with the number 10 goodie by Herbie Albert at Tijuana Brass called Taste of Honey, Honey.
It's 5:25. This is Bill Rice with news 5 minutes sooner from WABC Radio.
One of Con Edison's public relations men told NBC's Joseph Michaels that the company is, in his words, at a complete loss to explain the blackout.
At that time, generators weren't even thought of. The whole town was dark. And we found out that it was really so widespread, but nobody came out with any answers of what happened. They said the power grid was out from Niagara Falls, I believe it was, all the way down through, and most of our power was coming out of Niagara Falls at the time.
But beyond and beneath these feelings is real concern about what all this suggests about American vulnerability to disaster, accidental or planned.
I mean, we were scared, we were nervous, we didn't know what would happen. We thought we were being attacked, to be honest with you.
Here is NBC's Pentagon correspondent, Peter Hackus.
Within a matter of minutes, the Northeast blackout situation was being discussed in the office of Buford Ellington, who directs the government's Office of Emergency Planning, located next door to the White House. Ellington, in turn, was on a tie line with the Texas White House. President Johnson had first learned of the situation a few moments before, listening to a newscast while he was driving in his car.
And that's why Mom was listening to the radio. She tried to pick up stuff on it.
But it raises the awesome, ominous specter of what would happen should this section of the country indeed be subjected to an enemy attack.
You are listening to a Conelrad drill of the emergency broadcast system. This Conelrad exercise gives you a chance to experience the kind of radio reception you may expect under enemy attack.
Russia was on everybody's mind. That was our Cold War at that time. It was right in the thick of it. You know, God knows what was running through everybody's mind, but I know we all thought that we could have been being attacked. We had withstood the Cuban thing.
The President of the United States.
Good evening, my fellow citizens. We will not prematurely or unnecessarily risk the course of worldwide nuclear war, in which even the fruits of victory would be ashes in our mouth. It shall be the policy of this nation to regard any nuclear missile launched from Cuba against any nation in the Western Hemisphere as an attack by the Soviet Union on the United States, requiring a full retaliatory response upon the Soviet Union.
But we survived, went right back to norm the next day.
WABC, Standing Row, go, go, go!
Well, we'll have light back on. Some clown just turned the lights out in the studio. That's funny. It's Big Dan, proud to be with you on WABC.
Still to this day don't know what went wrong.
All kinds of things. We got a big thank you to the people in New York who were absolutely fantastic during the emergency of last night, and having lived through it myself, right along with you. And I know everybody has their own stories to tell about what happened to them.
Made it another day. That was it.
In the mountains, in the cities, you're never out of reach from a bear.
Come fall, the first year we were there, we didn't know what we were going to do to eat because we weren't making that much money. Wally, who brought us up the horses to feed, he said that he used to run a hunting lodge. Maybe he can get the hunters that were there to come to our place. And I said, well, that'd be great. So he made a few calls, and he was right. There was one group of guys that came from the print room of the New York News. They came up and they went out and hunted. Mom went out. When she came back, there was a bear hanging from the front porch. She was all upset. So anyway, one of the printers at the New York News, when he left on Sunday night, he had a Suburban, and he took the bear. He shot the bear, so he wanted to bring it. He was bringing it home with him. He sat it in the front seat with him, and he opened the window, and he drove through Manhattan on the West Side Highway, and then right in with the bear sitting there with his head hanging out the window, and people were stopping all over the place.
They don't care who they scare. You better beware.
He said he had just so much fun with that bear when he got to New York.
There's a bear.
It was something new to us. We had always nice people that came in and wished us luck. We never had rowdies like this. That was a tough night. It really was. It felt longer than it was because it all happened within an hour. Well, we were all in the bar one night. It was early evening, probably about 6-ish. I think Mom and I and Tom Hack and a group of people from Metropolitan Life. We were just sitting at the bar. A couple of the band people were there also, but they weren't playing that night. They just had stayed, and we were having a couple of drinks and going to have dinner. All of a sudden, a whole group of people came in from somewhere in the area, kind of rowdy, and started ordering drinks and making remarks. Then they started making remarks about some of the ladies. Mom was a little scared of what was going on. Tom's wife and the 2 young girls from college that were helping us, and the cowboy was there, and a couple of people from the band. So, I mean, we had plenty enough people, but when you get about 7 or 8, well, I call them woodchucks, who were just looking for trouble. They were just looking for trouble. They wanted a lot more, and by the time they had more, we would have had big problems. Well, I knew I had a problem. So it went on for a little while, and then I realized that we better do something about it after I had said something to them to kind of keep down, or else we're going to have to go. Told me they weren't leaving. I thought this place was open for drinks, and I said it was. Be nice if you want to stay. And they didn't, so I walked over to the bunkhouse and picked up every gun I had, Japanese rifle with the airplane sights, pistols, I had BB guns, knives, and so brought them all over to the bar, and I laid them across the bar. There was also a couple of shotguns in there. They looked up at it, and then we all stood up near the bar. It's not a long story because we told them, don't start any trouble because we will finish it. They got up and left. And I picked up the guns and brought them back, and we sat and had another drink and had our dinner. We brought peace back, and we had a good time.